Welcome to PoliTarology. I have a whole mess of people with me tonight. I'm Colleen Pearl, your host, and I'm just going to let everybody go around and introduce themselves. And I'm going to start with my sister, Cleo. Hi, Cleo.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Did you want to know what I'm doing?
Yes, I do.
Okay, first of all, what I'm doing, and I didn't mention this on the last show yesterday, which was not this, it was something else. But I am streaming this to my channel, and I'm telling you that because I'd like some people to go on over to my channel so that I can at least get some views on my channel. But besides that, I am doing a couple different shows. There's one show on Sunday called Meditation for Ukraine that Colleen's started up, and I'm probably going to be on that. And then on Monday, I have a Mystic Fore, and that's always a lot of fun. And then on Friday, I have another PoliTarology. So that's what I'm doing.
Great. And I just realized I forgot to run my video, so I'm going to run it now. So, David, here comes the guitar.
Right on.
Yes, there we go. A little hit of guitar. And with that, David, how are you? Welcome back to the channel, and what's going on for you?
Thank you very much for having me back. I'm doing well. What's going on with me? Well, we're doing this tonight. I've got my every other Tuesday, Taco Tuesday with Marina from Heart Center Tarot that we're doing, and that starts at good Lord, what time is that? I think it's like 6 o'clock Pacific time, or 7 o'clock. I don't remember. It's on the calendar. She sends me the invites. Other than that, just had a couple of days. Took an extended weekend on President's Day weekend and slept a lot, and it's been absolutely lovely. And now getting ready for this weekend.
Great, thank you so much. And I'm going to go next to Shari, who is my co-host tonight, helping me out on StreamYard. Shari, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing that, because as everybody watching, I am so bad at the chat. So I'm very happy.
I love doing it. So, I'm not having to deal with playing hostess. I can just concentrate on chat and doing whatever reading I'm doing. So it kind of helps break it up a little bit. I know it's easier on you. I enjoy doing it. So, and I get to read with all these wonderful people that maybe I don't get to read with all the time, or not that often, or something.
So what's going on for you? What's happening for you?
I'm ending week 2 of COVID and doing much better. Still testing positive, but no more fever. So that's a good thing. I've got Carolyn and Peter Booker are going to be on my channel tomorrow, talking about their ghost hunting and paranormal stuff that they do. And Sunday is the meditation for Ukraine, and it's the next episode of my new show, Mastering Mental Wellness with Isaac. And this week's discussion will be grounding techniques for empaths and how we can ground ourselves and protect ourselves, before we go out and about. And Monday is Draining the Swamp with Mel, and Gerald's going to be filling in for Arthur, because Arthur had prior engagement already planned. And then just the regular stuff, Sisters, Golden Girls, PoliTarology.
Excellent. Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Well, glad you made time for me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Arthur, how are you? Welcome back. Nice to see you. What's going on for you?
I'm doing well. I'm always happy when I wake up breathing. Either that, I didn't learn my lesson and I'm still here, but it's all good. I've got the Sunday. I'm very privileged to be part of the meditation for Ukraine on Sunday. Monday, I'll be doing a new show with Ali and Marina. They're calling it Let Spirit Drive. I wouldn't call it Letting Spirit Drive You Crazy, but that's another story. And then Tuesday, I'm on with Mel. Our Tuesdays are now called Aloha Tuesdays.
I saw that.
Mel. And that's about it right in this moment. And also, I started memberships a week ago. And I'm up to 13, so keep on joining. And I'm learning how to use StreamYard. So
Excellent. That's great.
all
Great.
good.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad you're here. And
Yeah,
finally,
thank
Deann, welcome back, Deann. So nice to see you. How's everything going?
I'm doing good. It's channel's name for anybody who don't know me is Deann Shield Maiden Tarot, and I read on politics, personal, and paranormal. I have a paranormal show every Friday that I love, and I started a new business called Manifest. It's Eclectic Boutique, and we make little manifest oils that have crystals and little oils to help you manifest things. We just got a bunch of our oils back in stock. So if you want to check it out, it's mymanifestpop.com. And tomorrow I've got Andre on my channel, Astrology Alert. And I have next week, I've got Mel Dore is coming on. And we're going to do a show. Tarot Stash is coming on next week. And Sun Psychic Jean. So that's what I've got going on.
Very nice. That sounds great. Well, let's see. I'll plug my channel a little bit. We're doing PoliTarology now. And next week we'll have the PoliTarology with the gang. But I'm also starting another new show, and it's going to be called the Cool Crone Oracle. And it's going to be, for now, it's going to be on Friday nights in between the PoliTarology gang shows just to get it going. Be personal questions. I'm just going to have a couple people on with me, and we're going to do personal questions. And of course, there's Reveal the Future, which has been moved to Wednesday nights. But the last one on Sunday will be this Sunday, and we're doing a meditation for Ukraine. I'm really excited about this show. I've been collaborating with Val from Dragonflight Crystals in writing the meditation, and I'm really, really excited. I think it's going to be a very powerful evening. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think a few of you are going to be joining me there. So yeah, so there's that. Okay. So I have perused the New York Times, as is my wont. And now I'm getting in my inbox. I'm also getting vetted by the Washington Post. So I don't know if these are the best newspapers to look at for headlines, because I think they do have a bias, both of them, pretty strongly. But I like the New York Times because they cover almost everything that you can think of. So that's the main reason that I get the topics from there. So my first question is, I'm going to read just a little bit about what I saw in the paper about this. Netanyahu, he has a position on the conflict between Israel and Gaza, which basically will keep his war going because, like Trump, he has an agenda. And his agenda is, if there's a war going on, they can't replace me. So it says the Israeli prime minister released a plan for post-war Gaza that signals to his right-wing allies he's defying foreign pressure to allow a Palestinian state. But this still leaves him room to maneuver. So basically, he's against the two-state solution. He wants to retain military control of Gaza as a post-war plan. God knows when that would take place. And it's just kind of a bad idea, but it's his idea. So how will this work out? This is the question. So this is going to David and Shari. How will this plan work out for Netanyahu? And here's the more pressing thing. Will he be around to see it go into effect? And I don't mean will he have crossed over. I mean, will he be around in terms of will he be in power? Although if you find out that he's going to cross over and not be around, I'd like to know that too. So go ahead, shuffle, talk amongst yourselves, do what you need to do.
I had that Knight of Swords pop out as I was as you were going through that. My knee-jerk reaction is, "Oh, this is a horrible idea." Talk about letting your soldiers get picked off every day. From you're encouraging terrorism at that point. If that's your idea of fun, but let's see what his idea of fun looks like. Yeah, this is kind of his legacy. This is sort of that. I do agree that this is the tail wagging the dog here, as you got the two dogs down there.
Yeah.
But this is also his legacy. This is sort of his lasting thing. This is going to keep him in office until the day he dies, type of thing. And he's getting the messaging out quickly, but this messaging may not work out the way he wants. We'll see how that works. Underneath is the magician. This is his grand idea, his grand plan, and he's going to try and force this thing through. In the past, we've got the high priestess, who, what I've been told, is the most Jewish card in the deck, as she's got the Torah and such. So this is kind of Netanyahu's the natural progression of the right wing and where the right wing is going with this, which is why they can't diplomatically work with Palestine. So their only solution is a military one, is to force their will on the others in order to quote unquote protect the people. That's the logic and the wisdom there. It's not very good logic or wisdom, but that's what he's going for. Current situation is justice. He is actually really concerned about the Supreme Court and the protests over the Supreme Court, where he was trying to basically neuter the Supreme Court, saying they couldn't rule with the what do they call it? It's like the Reasonableness Act, that you can't pass any law that doesn't have the Reasonableness Act. There's a problem with his plan. First off, I don't think the international community is going to support it, but also this might get challenged in the court system. I'm not sure how that would work out, but there's going to be problems for him with oh, you know what it is? It's just his corruption. He's trying to stay in office because he will be tried for corruption if he's ever removed from office. So he's got to do whatever he can to stay in there. Yeah, he's trapped. He's trapped between a rock and a hard place. This war is the only thing keeping him out of a courthouse or a prison cell. And he doesn't have many options. He certainly doesn't have any good options. So he's weighing his options, trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do that keeps me out of jail the longest, but also keeps me in office? Because there's a balance there with it. The irony, of course, is, Hitler was a fascist and did atrocities with the Jewish people. And now he's almost like, okay, well, they did to us, so now we're going to do it to the Palestinians, because that's kind of how these things work out. Out comes the King of Pentacles. I think for the short term, he's going to be staying in place because he has money and power to do it. Long term, though, I don't think this is going to work out for him. The Pentacles can also be health related. So while he's trying to evaluate what's best for him, we could see his health deteriorating to the point where the Justice card comes in and it's actually, well, if you can't get our justice in the court of law, what we'll get is justice with your health. By hook or crook, something's going to happen where he eventually is removed here. And I don't think he will ever get, my gut reaction is he will never get to the point where there are Israeli soldiers on every street corner running Palestine like a police state or anything along those lines. I think he'll be taken out before that.
Okay. Shari, what do you have?
Barking dogs. They've been quiet till it's my turn to talk. He's a real devotee to what he sees as his excellent plan. He wants everyone to think that he's just spilled his guts. He's told everybody exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and it's going to be wonderful, fantastic, great. Basically, he'll do better if he just goes off and lives in a cave somewhere. I don't see, much like David said, I don't see the plan working the way he thinks it's going to work. And I really feel like it's going to turn around and kind of bite him in the backside when he least expects it. So.
That's it? Okay. All right. So moving right along. Okay. So I entitled this little section Russia, Russia, Russia. And what we have here is Putin embracing his strongman image 2 years into the war in Ukraine. So we have a lot of emphasis just in the last week on Russia. Navalny was murdered, or at least they found him dead in his cell. The Kremlin won't release his body. The mother's seen it, but she says she's being blackmailed and not allowed to control her son's funeral. Putin's even gone on TV to basically say that he's going to keep up the brutal tactics that he's performing on the Ukrainians. He has leaked, or the Kremlin has leaked, information that Russia may be putting a nuclear weapon into orbit on one of their satellites. This would violate one of the latest arms control treaties. Let's see. Oh God, he's just doing ridiculous stuff. So, honestly, I have trouble believing that Putin has been seen in public like in a year. I just don't think that it's really him. Like that thing with Tucker Carlson, I don't think that was Putin. You call me crazy, but I just think it was a guy who was coached really well. But if you compare what Putin looked like in that, first of all, I think he looked too young. I think they picked somebody who was a little bit too young. Putin is 71. And I just don't think that's him. So he's doing all this stuff. Is he alive? Is he in a coma? This is the question for Cleo and Arthur. Is he alive? Is he in a coma? Is he still pulling the strings? And how much longer can he keep controlling Russia?
Well, I'm glad you asked this question because if you look over the last week or two, every single picture of the so-called Putin, there must be two or three different people in on this, and they're none of them. I mean, they're now getting, I think they're getting brazen about it, just putting up people that sort of look like Putin.
Yeah.
These guys did not look like Putin at all. And I actually asked about Putin before we came on. And normally I don't. I kind of stay away from the Russia stuff because there's so much disinformation and propaganda coming out of Russia that it influences my psychic. It just it screws things up. So, but what I got was that that Putin is probably still alive right now, but it doesn't look like he's going to be around by the end of the year, I'm thinking. And I guess he's sort of calling the shots. I don't know what if he's like incapacitated right now or what's going on or why he's not up there. But everybody that we're seeing right now is not the real Putin.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
Okay. Arthur?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, what I've been saying for the past year is that I don't see Putin around after April.
Yep.
And whether he's incapacitated or not on the planet anymore, I'm not sure. I just don't see him around. I feel he may get on his train and never come back. That kind of thing. I do like the Murder on the Orient Express. With
Sorry.
the first one with Lauren Bacall. But the whole thing about him being around, I still feel he's pulling some shots. I don't see like there's a desk with his head in a jar telling everybody what to do. But it does feel that he's trying to put out the strong image, and that he's going after Ukraine, that Navalny's no longer here. He's doing all this kind of stuff and just playing the strong man.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel it's too much, too little, too late in many, many ways.
Yeah.
And just to go back to the other question about Netanyahu, I'm just going to say this. I always feel in July he's going to have to step down or they're going to force him out. So whatever that means. So I'm going to throw that out there too. Okay?
Yeah. That feels very, very real to me, the Netanyahu comment too. And, if Trump and Putin really have this sort of link between the two of them, that April really makes sense too. So, okay, Deann.
One more thing. I always call them Tweedle T and Tweedle P. Tweedle Trump and Tweedle Putin.
And I believe they had little bracelets, matching ID bracelets with that on it. Did they not?
or depends.
Yeah, matching depends. There we go. All
Arthur,
right.
do you think that's linked? Sorry, Colleen. Do you think that's linked to the eclipse that's coming up in April? Okay.
Yeah, it's linked. Yeah, it's definitely linked. All right, so this is similar but slightly different about Russia, because I told you it was Russia. So this is for me and Deann. Why are we seeing Russia in the news so much lately? We had Trump making the threat to the NATO members. We had the Avdiivka fall to the Russian army. Navalny died the day after Congress goes on a 2-week holiday. Then Navalny's wife makes a plea at the Munich Security Conference to end Putin's reign of terror. Then that guy Smirnov is arrested. Then the House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jimmy Jordan acts as though they still have a case against Hunter Biden and that the FBI are the Russian informants. I love that. He's turning around. It's just like, way to call the kettle black, Jimmy. Now we know you are absolutely a Russian informant. That makes it easy on us psychics when you do things like that.
You know, Colleen, I read part of an article earlier that was talking about the Justice Department had finally issued a warrant for arrest for Jim Jordan. Now, I haven't been able to find any documentation to back that up. I don't know if it was somebody's wishful thinking and they just put it out there, or if somebody knows something that the rest of us don't know yet. But
yeah,
just let that stew at the back of everybody's brain, and how lovely that would be.
Yeah, well, I was going to tack something on about that because, okay, so the Smirnov guy actually got arrested a second time because that judge let him go basically on his own recognizance. Another judge said, no, we're arresting that guy. So they arrested him. So now he's in custody. But what I had been hearing from like Jamie Raskin and people like that is that they weren't even just inferring it. They were out and out saying that the way Jim Jordan is speaking and the actions that he's taking, especially with Smirnov, means that Jim is facilitating this act on behalf of Russia. So they didn't come out and say he was a Russian asset, but we all know he is. But what his actions are criminal. Those actions are criminal if he's found to be guilty of those actions. So, interesting. So, my question, Deann, for you and I, is, was all this orchestrated by the Kremlin? And what role did Jimmy play in all of this? Because he seems overly confident for someone who should be in the dark about Russian psyops.
Now, Jimmy, who are you talking about, Jimmy?
Jim Jordan, the Ohio congressman.
Okay, so say the question one more time because I thought it was something different earlier.
Okay, so Jim Jordan is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee that's been pushing this thing on Hunter Biden. Their key witness was Smirnov. Smirnov was arrested and found to be actually a Russian double agent, really, but they're arrested in the United States. So my question is, was this whole bubble of information, Smirnov and Jimmy Jordan and Hunter Biden and all this stuff coming out, was this all orchestrated by the Kremlin? Because all this stuff of Russia is coming out all at the same time, and just wondering, are they just turning on some of their assets and saying, we'll just expose you and have the United States authorities take care of you?
Well, I think it is by the Kremlin. I think that they're the ones doing this. They were, I got the moon in reverse. So it's like deception, deceiving us, trying to cause misunderstandings, fear and anxiety. And it was just the stuff that he said, it was just trying to deceive us and cause anxiety about Biden. But it was, and it was also the Page of Swords, crossing them. I feel like it's to make everybody paranoid about Biden by saying that this bad news was true, but it was a lie. So now that they found out, they're guarded. It's caused a challenge for them. They found out that this FBI guy was working for the Kremlin. Jim Jordan and all them are guarded, and they're trying to act like, oh, we weren't as dependent on that as we said we were. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge for them now, because that was the only proof. They kept saying he's the one who did it. He was the best. You're talking about that one they said was their witness against Hunter, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they said that he was a great witness, that you could count. Fox News said it over and over again. And now that they found out, this has presented a challenge, and they're kind of fatigued trying to keep coming up with stuff. So they're trying to make a decision about what they're going to do about it. They're trying to keep some secrets under their cup. I feel like they are involved with Russia, Jim Jordan and a lot of those, and I think it's going to come out. It's completion. I think this is completing. They're not going to be able to do the trial against Biden. This is dead. It's dead now. It's complete now, because they've already found out that this person had lied, that they were from Russia. So yeah. So people are rejecting that idea, of the Bidens they've discovered the truth. This is a discovery. And I think things are going to, Biden can look ahead and progress. I think it is Russia. I think they knew it was Russia. I don't know that they didn't know all along. They just didn't think we'd find out. Well, I think they might have known all along.
Yeah, and thank you for that excellent reading. I'm not even going to bother with my cards, because you pretty much said everything that I thought was going to come out.
Get it out of my mouth.
No, you did great. You did great, and thank you so much. So what I was kind of getting on the news is that this informant Smirnov had been very good for them for a very long time. At some point, he turned. Maybe he was always a double agent. We don't know. Sometimes they go, decades as a double agent, and you can't tell that they're not on your side until 10 or 20 years later, when all of a sudden, oops, they're not on your side anymore. But the thing that's funny about Smirnov as a double agent is maybe he's staying here on purpose to hide from the Kremlin. I mean, maybe he's, really in danger if he goes back to Russia. But the FBI is saying that for a long time he was a credible informant. Mm-hmm. And Jim Jordan trying to claim that the FBI are Russian informants is just dumb. I mean, why are you trying to piss off the FBI even more than they're already pissed off at you for doing all this Hunter Biden crap? Anyway, I mean, just like nobody ever accused Jim Jordan of being, a candidate for Mensa. That just.
God. Well, it wouldn't surprise me if Jim Jordan gets accused of taking bribes from Russia for doing certain things. I feel like he will.
I do too. I feel like what they were intimating on the news, like Jamie Raskin and them, is that, if he's actually a Russian operative, wittingly or not, we're going to get him. And I'm like, whoa, that's pretty bad. Okay, so thank you, Deann. That was excellent. Okay, so Biden imposes new sanctions on Russia. Now, of course, he kind of badmouthed Putin on the news, and Putin said something back, and who cares? A bunch of old men, pointing fingers at each other. I mean, we could do the same thing here. Yeah. Ew, look at it. Now, I'm trying to see what the actual sanctions were. I think that they are more financial, which is what they said would really get them. The new sanctions include measures created by the Treasury Department, the State Department, and the Commerce Department, and they target more than 500 individuals and entities that have been associated with Russia's aggression toward Ukraine. Well, that's not a nice way of saying maybe oligarchs and different companies that are Russian and things like that. So I do think this might be effective, but I'll read this last thing and then we'll read the question. And the question, just so you can think about it while I'm reading this last little bit of the article, is how successful will the sanctions be? Will Putin figure out a way to torture Ukraine or Navalny's widow because of these sanctions? And the last thing I wanted to say is that this was by Janet Yellen. Russia's economy and military industrial base are showing clear signs of weakness, in part due to the actions we, along with our partners and allies around the world, have taken to support Ukraine's brave defense. Putin has mortgaged the present and the future of the Russian people for his own aims to subjugate Ukraine. Thank you, Janet. I love a good Janet. Okay. So do you need me to read the question again, or are you guys good?
Just basically, will these sanctions be effective against Putin, and will Putin figure out a end around on him like he did the first set?
Yeah, retaliation. Yeah.
I gut-wise tells me the retaliation against Navalny's mother and his widow against Navalny's body, that's kind of separate. That's one of those things where we don't want to give a martyr a tomb, which is why they gave good Lord, David, 9/11. I keep on saying Saddam Hussein, not Saddam Hussein. Osama bin Laden, a burial at sea. There's no ashes, there's no tomb, anything like that. He's off in the ocean somewhere, and you can't worship the martyr there. And I think Putin's trying to avoid that same situation. Let's look at sanctions, though, on this one. Nine of Wands. Russia's economy has been, again, it's been weakened. Now, Putin's figured out some ways around it, but here comes that next wave. And I think what's happened here with the U.S. is that they've analyzed how Putin found loopholes and got around things and kind of rolled up their sleeves and said, here, hold my beer. Because it's like, we'll get him with this next round of things. In some ways, it's almost like if you're fencing with somebody, you're watching what their defenses are. And now it's like, okay, I see what they're doing. Now let's see how they defend against this. So I think Putin's actually looking over his shoulder like, oh, crap, what's coming next? And how am I going to deal with this? And then I've got the Drunken Hillbilly Brawl card. This is going to cause a lot of mayhem in the Russian economy. It's Page of Pentacles. Just a message about money and the reduction of money and the making of money. And again, I think it's targeting oligarchs in the industrial complex. Putin's power relies on the oligarchs supporting him. They are the ones that he has made the wealthiest, the lords of the land. And if the lords aren't supporting the king, they're going to install a new king. And the one thing that Putin was promising these oligarchs with the war in Ukraine is that, Putin wants to put the Soviet Union back together again. They wanted to raid Ukraine's resources, and he said it would be done quickly, but they'd be done by the time the world even got out of bed and said, hey, but didn't quite work out that way, did it?
Yeah.
So, and this is also representing the Ukraine war too. So this is going to not only piss off the oligarchs, but the ability to end the Ukraine war is really going to derail that, because Putin won't have the money to continue the battle, which is why he's trying to keep Congress out so that they don't pass funding for Ukraine, because that's like the double whammy. In the past, we've got the Five of Cups. We're talking about these sanctions. It's Putin's watching the economy in Russia go down, but he's found some end arounds. This could also be the United States. Like, dang, we hit him with some pretty solid sanctions, but he's still hanging around here. So we go for round 2, and now there's some real passion behind it, and everybody's pissed off at this point. And the fighting, I want to say the fighting will get more intense. It actually won't. I think with the intensity of the fighting will increase, because Putin realizes that without the money, he can't afford the equipment or the material. So what he's got left are human bodies with guns and bullets. And so I would expect even bigger waves of Russian assaults, because that's the one thing that's been working for them, is to send outnumber the Ukrainians 100-1, and it doesn't matter to him if 90 of the Russian soldiers die in the charge, so long as the other 10 claim the objective. I think the Russian people are going to be upset because their brothers, their sons, their grandsons, their husbands, their cousins are dying unnecessarily. I think the oligarchs are going to get upset because they're all of a sudden losing money, and that's no good. And it's fueling a lot of emotions in there, especially at this election time. We've got messaging coming on overhead. The messaging of the U.S. basically, funny how this works out, is by these sanctions, you're not going to have your missiles. You're not going to have your drones. Your ability to conduct an offensive war is going to be over. Ukraine's also been building up defensive structures. They learned from Russia last year. So I think what's going to happen is this war is actually going to quickly stall out and become, trench warfare like World War I, where nobody is moving any direction whatsoever. It's basically going to stagnate, and that's not good for Putin because Putin needs to, quote unquote, win this war, and he's not going to be able to do it. The lesson to be learned from all this, Putin might be able to come up with another way to circumvent these sanctions, but I'm not convinced. Oh, okay. Manifesting. I don't think he's going to get around the sanctions. I think what he's going to get around to is basically trying to figure out a way to get a ceasefire and save face because he can't win it. So the best thing he can do now is secure some dirt that he's gained. The outcome is the Eight of Swords. However, he is stuck. He's stuck because he's come up with about 23 different reasons why they invaded Ukraine. And if he's in a ceasefire or basically a stalemate, he can't win. He can't really declare victory because it's a hollow victory. The oligarchs are poor because I don't think they're going to release these sanctions anytime soon. Who's going to get him first is really what it's going to be down to. He better hope it's a heart attack or his cancer rather than the oligarchs, or else he might fall out of a first-story window.
Well, if he's in a coma, they just have to roll the bed one way and tip it.
Right down the hill on a gurney.
It's not very hard at all. So,
as long as the gurney says Acme on it, everybody will understand. Yeah. What do you got, Shari?
Exactly. All right. Great. Thank you, David. Shari?
Well, I started out with Six of Pentacles reversed. I'm thinking it just feels like that's a lot of the money that Putin is just basically flushing down the toilet, trying to do away with Navalny. But I see his wife as the Empress. She's getting ready to birth an entire new movement of what's happening over there because she's got protection, not just physical protection, and I was talking about it last night. One of the visions I had, she's got spiritual protection that's surrounding her very strongly. The Page of Wands, she's got a lot of new ideas and whatnot that are happening, things that she's trying to get moving and get going, along with the Two of Wands, which is just going to follow up what it is that she's got brewing in her mind. She's going to be a force to be reckoned with. She really is. Same with Navalny's mother. She's still in grieving mama mode, whereas the wife is in, I am pissed off you took my spouse. So it's going to take a little time for the two of them to kind of get on the same page at the same level, because everyone's going to grieve at their own rate. But I really see something that's going to start to move and start to happen with Navalny's wife.
Do you see his widow returning to Russia or Ukraine or Europe or staying in the U.S.?
I don't see her returning right now. I think that her protection is telling her to stay put in the States so she can stay alive. I think if she tried to travel back there right now, there would be some kind of an accident
Mhm.
and she would, decide to pitch herself out of a basement window and
Yeah.
kind of thing. I mean, that's just what I've been picking up. Somebody else may pick up something different, but I just feel like she's here for a while for protection and for her to kind of gather her strength, get her thoughts together, decide what direction she wants to go in.
Yeah.
Because
Well, let's
she's
open
gonna-
it up. What does anybody else think about this? I bet you all have some thoughts. Go ahead, David.
Just a quick little thing to throw in there because folks might have missed it on the news. Do you remember the Russian helicopter pilot that piloted a helicopter into Ukraine and the other crew were shot running away? He was just murdered in Spain.
Yeah, I heard that.
He left. The Ukrainian officials wanted him to stay in Ukraine for his protection. He wanted to live in Spain. Messaged his wife to come meet him, and like a week later, he's dead. So I can imagine that Navalny's wife, Yulia, will want to stay in a place very far away from Putin's henchmen until there is a situation where it's safe enough for her either to return to Europe. I actually do see her going back to Russia at some point and carrying on
not right now.
the work that her husband started.
Yeah, maybe.
Just not right now. She
Just not right now. It's not safe right
needs a
now.
little time, and they need time to make sure that wherever she goes, she's going to have safety there.
Yeah, and their daughter is here going to school in the U.S., so
Mhm.
that's a really good reason to stay here for a while. Anybody else have 2 cents they want to throw in on this? Because this is juicy. Go ahead.
I just feel like, I don't blame her. Said he took her heart, he took her soul, when he took her husband. And I think if she is found killed, if anything happens to her with what happened to Navalny, it's going to look really bad. The people will even be more outraged. I heard they arrested some people that just had a little vigil, candle vigil, and they were. It was amazing. They arrested them, but they were holding signs: "Putin must die, kill Putin, save America." But I feel like she's going to go back, but it'll be I'm thinking 2025, and I don't think Putin will be there anymore. I think Putin is going to be gone, next year, maybe
Just
April, May.
Cleo, refresh my memory because we talked about this last night. Was it it was someone that was from the US who was over there to visit family and they arrested her? I don't remember if they killed her.
A ballerina they arrested.
Because she had made a donation to Navalny's
Yes.
election thing like a year ago or so.
It was a ballerina.
Okay.
She was Russian.
I remember we talked about it last night.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, she was Russian. She was living in the U.S., working, I guess, as a ballerina. And then she went back to visit in Russia, and they found out about the donation, and they used that as a premise to arrest her. I think I read that they have so far arrested about 500 people for supporting and making memorials to Navalny. That's terrible.
Figured they would.
Terrible.
Hellbell says it was a $50 donation, and they arrested her over it.
Yeah, just cuckoo. Okay, well, now for something different. This is Cleo and Arthur. What's happening in Argentina? So I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. It's Milei. So I'm just going to say Milei. I don't know.
I'm going to pass on this because I'm not familiar with what's going on there.
Neither am I.
Oh, well, you don't have to know. I'm going to just give you a little lay of the land. Just get psychically. We'll just shoot in the dark, spit wads, just see what happens.
Okay.
So Mr. Milei, a former fiery television pundit who backed Mr. Trump's 2020 claims of election fraud, is now the president of Argentina. So he started out as a Trumpster style, almost autocrat, right? Running for president in Argentina, and he won. So since then, though, he has been, since December is when he took office, he's been playing nice with the Biden administration. He's criticized China and Russia. He's aligned closely with the United States and Israel. And he pulled Argentina out of its planned entry into BRICS. I don't know if you're familiar with that. BRICS is an organization that's trying to change the world currency and change the world power structure. This is an alliance of developing nations designed to counter U.S. power and basically like counter NATO, counter the what's it called in the United States, the UN. And at the start of he had a meeting with Mr. Blinken on Friday. What? Why? Anyway, he did. And Mr. Milei told reporters, Argentina has decided to return to the side of the West, to the side of progress, to democracy, and above all, freedom. My question is, do we believe him? Will he end up being a good ally for the U.S.? And then I'll pull it while you guys.
I'm just going to tell you what I get. I mean, the energy I get around this is like he's a Borg. Like we will assimilate into whatever we need to be.
Politically correct, yeah.
You know, and he knows where his bread and butter will come from in the United States if he doesn't play along.
I guess so. I'm going to show you a picture of this guy. He's hilarious looking. Screen. This is
God.
That's the guy. That's that's Blinken. But look, I mean, I can see. Yeah, he was on TV. He was I mean, cuckoo, right?
He looks like a large size of the Hobbit.
Yeah,
well,
right?
I was going to say, kind of reminds me of some character that Robin Williams would play.
Like in the 70s.
I know. I mean, look at those sideburns. Look at that.
Elvis is alive.
Yeah. So anyway, I had to show that picture because this.
Does he watch much porn? I wonder. Those were definitely porn.
I know. I thought of that too.
Oh gosh.
Purposes only.
I think basically like what Arthur was saying, basically this guy is just going for like which side would be best, most helpful to me and look good for people around the world. So yeah, he's not a big player, surprise, but he's just going to say and do what he needs to act like, yes, I'm with the West.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine this guy getting, hip deep into this autocratic politics. And then he sees that he's swimming with a bunch of people who are incredibly dangerous and narcissistic and crazy.
And getting arrested and getting indicted, and the list goes on.
Yeah, but look at people like Kim Jong-un and Putin and whoever the crazies are in Hungary, that guy. I mean, these people are really dangerous, awful people. So maybe he just wanted to play with people that were a little nicer.
Made me think of Lindsey Graham, flip-flopper,
Yeah, that's right.
I'm so terrible. And, you'll deserve what you get if you vote for him. And then the next minute, kissing his butt.
Well,
he's going to cozy up to whoever offers him the most.
Yeah, go ahead, Arthur.
I was going to say, with Lindsey Graham, I know there's a file that they have dirt on him, so that's why he's keeping his mouth shut and going along the program.
It's so sad about Lindsey.
You don't have to be a psychic to know that, but as a psychic, I knew that.
Yeah. Then you win, okay? You just win. We'll just say Arthur's the winner. Okay. All right.
So do you got any questions that are kind of closer to home?
Maybe. How about a question about Alabama IVF? Okay.
Conservatives are in overdrive trying to figure out how to erase this.
Yeah. So, Deann, I think this is for you. But Cleo, do you want to read on this one? I'll put you and Deann on this one. How's that?
Go ahead. Well, guys, let's see where you're going. Yes, go ahead.
So Alabama IVF ruling opens new frontier in abortion battles, and an Alabama Supreme Court ruling that frozen embryos can be considered children have created. I'm actually saying this.
It's the natural progression of their stand.
You take a little picture from Darwin's evolution and just put it in reverse.
Yes.
I'm
Idiocracy.
waiting for the rulings to come down that men can't ejaculate into a condom or a hanky or whatever, because that's killing children.
That's right. I think that's
Potential.
just.
Well, wasn't it in Monty Python's "Every Sperm is Sacred"?
Exactly. Except that was a fun romp of song and dance.
Yes, yes.
So, several Republican governors and lawmakers, including Nancy Mace, that's I put that in, swiftly disavowed the decision made by a Republican majority court, that's the court in Alabama, expressing support for in vitro fertilization treatments. Now, because this would pretty much put a kibosh on IVF, storing this stuff and then using it for IVF. Some spoke out about their personal experiences with infertility. Others declared they would not support federal restrictions on IVF, drawing a distinction between their support for broadly popular fertility treatments and their opposition to abortion. So have I given you enough information? My question is, what'll happen with this one politically? And will it go in other states?
I do have something to say about this, because when it first came out, I'm like, are you kidding me? The little things are children already. And they, that's just craziness. I don't know what's going on in Alabama that are they just so bored that they're trying to come up with some other thing and look what we said. However, I can see other states looking at it, and I'm like, what are you wasting your time on something so stupid and so critical? Even Trump, and God, I hate to say anything in his favor, but even he came out and said, oh, you know what? No. I want, if these people are trying to have children, we want that. We don't want abortion, but we want people to have children. So even he was semi against this thing, as far as, it's interrupting people that have spent thousands of dollars in years trying to have kids, and they're in this program, and suddenly it's instantly shut down. They are devastated. They're just devastated.
Yeah.
And it's just so wrong for them to do this. And I know that they're going to try to go to other states and stuff, but we're talking big money, that these up to $250,000 that people have invested to try to have children. And now this Alabama thing. Well, I say, for one thing, for the people living in Alabama, you should have moved out a long time ago. But, you can go somewhere else and still have the treatment. And I get on the bandwagon now, because who knows what goofy. I mean, it was goofy enough that they outlawed abortion. And now this thing, they're acting like you're killing children because some of the, what are the things called that they're working with? Embryos or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, the embryos, they're not fit to be used, and so they like toss them out, and that's what they're making a big deal about. Like, don't toss out any of that. And I'm like, no. These people are trying to have normal, healthy children. And, if that, it's one of the big things, that if they can find something that's a little bit cattywampus with that embryo, you don't want to use that. So I think that might be part of their problem that they're worried about. But I can't imagine in this day and age, with everything that's going on, that they chose this time to go to their Supreme Court and make a ruling that says, no, we're going to stop all this. I mean, the doctors are upset. The patients are upset. It's just craziness. So where do I see this going? I think that it might get stopped. But then again, I'm just so curious of what these other states are looking around like, yeah, we should do something about that.
Well, we are talking about Alabama.
Well, but there is other states, though, that are looking at what Alabama did and is thinking about maybe applying these same rules in other states. Let's not be ridiculous. Let's just nip it, stop it. These people are trying to have children. They're not trying to kill children. They're not trying to have abortions. It has nothing to do with that. Let these people live in peace and have their kids.
It's what is called a slippery slope. You start with one item and they just get more and more and more and more carried away. And you start slipping down that slope. And before you know it, you're going over the waterfall.
Yeah.
Well, and you got now Republican governors and lawmakers disavowing it and saying, no, we don't want that. But you know that there's going to be some Moms for Liberty people out there going, oh no, we need to do this. And I just want to remind everybody, this is Alabama.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
like
Alabama. I know people who live in Alabama and they're very, very nice people. But in general, some of these laws are just dumb. They just open up such a nightmare, such a quagmire of legal pit holes, that, oh God, it's just like all the comments that we were saying. If you say that they're children, oh my God, that wording. You could say considered viable life instead of children. But no, in Alabama, they had to say children. That's very, very heated language. Anyway, whatever. Okay, Deann, do you have something to say?
Well, I feel like for one, it was stupid. It's not going to last I don't think it'll last 6 months. I think it's going to be overturned or whatever. However they do it, something's going to happen. This law is going to be overturned. They said if they're children, then putting them in a freezer would be child abuse. What if the power goes out or anything happens? Is that mass murder? If somebody drops, on the floor, is that murder? Are they going to be trialed for murder? It's just dumb and it's ridiculous. And what I got is they're doing this. It's creating a lot of tension for people. There's a lot of people upset about this. They are going to the Republican people. They're having to deal with conflicts, and a clash of egos about this. It's all about ego. They're doing this against women. It's not for the children. It's not for anybody, but there's a lot of tension about this and arguments. And you got a lot of guys with big egos that are fighting that, no, they're a child, even though they don't care. They don't even care. It's just something to go against women. A lot of people are thinking this is cruel and spiteful against women. It's something, this is the Queen of Swords in reverse. So it's just kind of cruel, and it's a spiteful thing to do against women and people who want to have a baby. It's just like abortion. It's not that they care so much for the children, or they would help the children that are alive. It's a way to control women. So, but there are some people that are going to say they're standing their ground on this. There will be those Republicans that will stand their ground and they'll challenge it and they'll try to defend this. They are going to challenge this, as much as they can. But I feel like with the Ace of Swords, they're going to get clarity that this is stupid. They're going to have some dumb things that happen due to this. Like I said, there's going to be questions like, well, what happens if the freezers go out? What happens if somebody drops them, if they're actual children? What happens about putting children in the freezer? It's just dumb. I don't think it'll last 6 months, but there will be those, like Cleo said, there'll be those diehard MAGA people that are anti-woman type people that are going to fight for this, that they are children. And but the problem is the people who have in vitro a lot of times are people that have more money. And I hate to say it, a lot of times they're white and they want more white babies. That's what they're wanting. So they're kind of at a catch-22, they're thinking that they're worried about the population changing and things like that. So they're just,
they're worried the trailer trash is going to take over and rule everything.
There was one woman that was involved in this program that suddenly got cut off. And she said, I don't quite understand. If they're children, why can't I visit my children?
Right. Yeah.
So it's going to, they're going to have arguments from all over the place. But if this thing gains ground and other states start doing it, Oh, brother. What in the world are
Well,
we?
like 99.9% of the things that Republicans and the right wing does is somebody gets this bright idea in the middle of the night and they decide to run with it. They don't think it through. They don't think through all the different possibilities that's going to come out of a decision like that, or to even follow it down the path logically. Okay, if you do this, then what's the next step and what's going to happen? The thing is, they've got a bunch of their people on the right that are pitching a fit over this, because you've got a lot of very wealthy Christian people who use IVF to try to have large families.
Yeah.
And-
And what do they do if 9 are viable and the woman doesn't want to have 9 babies all at once? Is she forced to carry all 9 of those babies because they are, what are they going to do with them?
Exactly. What if they don't want to? And what if the couple decide? People do IVF to, just in case something happens. A couple gets divorced. Maybe they don't want to have those kids after all. What do you do with them? You can't kill them now because that's murder. I can almost see this, and forgive the draconian Orwellian nature of this, but this is kind of that slippery slope Shari was talking about. Picture brown women who have been convicted of some crime, and part of their redemption is that they have to carry one of these white babies. And now you're bringing more white children in there, and then you have to figure out who's gonna raise them and stuff like that. And not to be gross, but it's like
that's the days of Boys from Brazil. Remember Boys from Brazil?
Yep.
I know about the movie, and I know roughly what it's about, but I never watched it.
It's like shades of that, where they're getting all these women inseminated.
Yep.
Right.
Of course, it had to be clones of Hitler, but
Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
Give those to the rich women who can't have babies and force them to have them.
So in the case of divorce, though, David, just to answer your question, when the couple divorces and they have embryos frozen, all they do is set up a visitation schedule.
Who has to pay the child support?
Yeah, I was going to say, who has custody?
Yeah. All right. So, okay. Moving right along, this one I named Biden Flips the Script on Politics of Immigration, which was actually the headline. I didn't make that up. So if Biden moves ahead with a plan to block people who illegally cross into the United States claiming asylum, he is likely to face a swift legal challenge in the same way that Trump did in 2018 when he tried that. Politically, though, that might not even matter. So if he does this order before his State of the Union address, which will be on March 7th, this could really bolster his reelection campaign by demonstrating that he is unilaterally trying to secure the border over the Republican opposition. And his aides are really flagging the whole Republican killing the bipartisan measure in Congress recently. And, they want some sympathy for that. So they're thinking that it's not going to hurt him very much, even if he does take this action, which Trump tried to take and which was shot down by the courts. So my question is, apparently the rule, okay, we said that. What will Biden be successful in his strategy for fixing our border with Mexico? And what about his strategy for fixing immigration overall? And I didn't tell you who was going to answer this question, did I? Surprise. Okay, so let's just open it up to whoever is ready to answer it. Just go ahead.
I think Biden's brilliant. He's playing their own game. And of course, you'll hear the Republicans say, you can't do that. That's un-American. Whatever. They're holding everything up. So he's just going to show to the American people, well, I'm working on it. They're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Like when he did with the Social Security and Medicare. Now, does everybody agree here that we're not going to get rid of Social Security, and everybody who's raising their hands going to get an amen?
Yeah.
The same thing with here. Are we going to get?
That was a brilliant move by him. It really was.
It was so clapped.
And that was ad-libbed. That's even more brilliant.
I was so proud.
So a doddering old man.
But he's addle-brained.
Wonderful things.
You know, they say he's addle-brained. He can't. He's on the one hand, he's this mastermind crafting all of these things, and in the next breath, they talk about he's so addle-brained. He's too old. He can't run the country. He
Right.
can't even think straight. It's like, okay, pick one. He can't be both.
But as far as the immigration is concerned, I do feel as we get into 2025 and the blue wave comes in, I do feel that DACA, those kids are going to be taken care of.
Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that. That I often worry about that. All right. Anybody else want to weigh in on the Biden issue?
Well, I'm thinking just like what Arthur just said. Plus, you know, that the House has done everything they can to interfere with what Biden is trying to do, offering the best deal that's ever been offered. And so now he's just saying, fine, you won't take that. And so I'll take a different route. I mean, I don't know if that route is the best way to go or if this is going to cause more trouble, but it does show Biden fighting and standing up for what he's trying to do. And I am glad that he's doing it. What I'm not glad about is that this aid to Ukraine has been interrupted to the point where they've lost a city. And so I do see that coming back. I do see Ukraine coming back from this. I also see other countries helping out Ukraine that they're not talking about it. They're just doing it. But
Right.
this thing with the southern border for us is just, you know, this has been a problem for decades, and it's not going to change overnight. But this does show everybody that yes, Biden is very serious about trying to fix this problem. And I do see what Arthur said also about 2025 when the blue wave takes over and things get done. But I mean, the House Republicans are just so irritated that how dare him try to go beyond them and do something else. And
That they've been screaming to have done for years.
It's going to make them look bad. It's going to make them look worse than they already look. And I love that. And
Yeah.
God
and
bless
again,
It's an attention grabber. That's basically it is. It's an attention grabber.
and again, it's the GOP and the right wing not thinking past the initial thought. Okay, you close the border, you kick out all the immigrants. There's no immigrants in this country. Now, who's picking up your trash? Who's showing up to wash your house, your clothes? Who's taking care of your children while you go work and play tennis and whatnot that you like to do? Are you prepared to pay quadruple or more prices for fruit and vegetables because there's nobody in the fields to pick the fruit and vegetables? So it's all rotting on the vine, quite literally. And so what little is there is going to be astronomically priced. Who's going to be doing all of this stuff? Because you damn sure can't get any white people to go out and do that work. How many? I mean, let's be blunt.
Yeah.
You know, there's a I heard somebody talking about that very thing today, and it made me think of the movie Crash. And Sandra Bullock had a role, one of the characters. And it's one of the few characters she's ever played where she was the bitch. And she was very anti-immigrant, anti-brown skinned, whatever. And in the course of the movie, she falls, she breaks her leg or something and gets hurt. And none of her friends and none of her family want to show up and come rescue her or anything like that because they don't want to listen to her bitch about stuff. And the only person that showed up that took care of her, got her to the doctor and got her back home was her housekeeper, who was an immigrant, you know. And this woman still showed up and did her job above and beyond. And I flashed to that movie when I heard the conversation earlier today. And it just made me think about it. It's like they just don't think past that initial thought of let's do this. Well, let's do that. Well, okay, what happens if you do that? What's the next logical step that's going to happen because of that?
Right.
Well, do you think that's why they want to change labor laws and have children working at very young ages so they don't have to pay them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Have them work in the fields, have them do the stuff?
Yeah, go send the 9-year-old out to pick your cotton and climb your trees and get your lemons and grapefruit out of them. And,
Mm.
you know, they don't need education.
All those kinds of things could be solved if the top 1% and the people who ran the corporations didn't have to have multi-gazillion dollar salaries and bonuses, and if they just paid everybody fair wages, it could just be solved. But
Well, for generations, we had immigrants that came over the border. They would come over, they would work the fields, either plowing or harvesting, spend, 4, 5, 6 months here working, saving up their money, doing their job, and then they went back home.
Yeah.
They spent the rest of the year with their family where they made all their money. Now they can take care of their family. The next harvest season comes along, they come back over the border. They did the job. We did that for generations with no real issues about it at all. Until Reagan started his crap in California.
Yeah, well, let's not start on Reagan.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
I wanted to go back to something about Ukraine, and I saw some things in the chat too. People were asking about, who is giving to Ukraine, and somebody asked about fighter jets. The fighter jets got sent to Ukraine a long time ago. I believe they were sent via Poland, if I'm not mistaken. And then just recently, because Biden was so worried and he wanted to get, I think, tanks over there, he sent the tanks via Greece. So it wouldn't look like the United States was just giving tanks to Ukraine. So he gave them to Greece. Greece gave them to Ukraine. So they're getting those kinds of things. And the last time when they turned down the package for the funding for Ukraine, Biden did an end run around Congress again by reaching out to other NATO countries. And Japan, I believe, gave something like $8.5 billion, not million, billion. And 2 other countries whose names escape me, I want to say like Germany or something.
Germany, yes, exactly. It is Germany.
One, and then one other country that I can't remember. But all total, they got a very, very huge dump of currency at that time. And that was Biden doing that behind the scenes. He just pulled his little strings, his little puppet master gig, and it worked. But they still need the money from the United States. And I truly believe that in some way he's going to pull that off. He's going to make that happen.
They need the ammunition. They need the missiles and the bullets and the stuff to defend themselves with. That it's just, they've got to wait for it to be made because the stockpiles have been depleted.
And well, there's been
other countries have those in stock.
I don't know if they do have them in
North
stock,
Korea.
but they will hand them over if they do.
Okay.
And a lot of the other countries and stuff who are used to working with more current, say, equipment and whatnot, a lot of their military that's retired or got out or whatever have gone to Ukraine and joined the Ukrainian army to not just fight next to them, but to teach them how to use that jet, how to use that tank, how to load those missiles. Because they had a lot of farmers from Ukraine trying to figure this stuff out. They just knew they wanted to protect their country, but they
we also had a training program here in the U.S. for them to learn how to fly the jet.
Yeah.
And that once that was done, then that was the point where they sent the jets to Poland, and then the jets went there. So we are participating in that as well. But that, I hadn't thought of that. A lot of the stockpiles that most of the other countries around them have are using technology that is newer than what the Ukrainians can use. So, don't they have some old shit laying around that they can give them?
That's the problem. They keep on hearing about the money. It's not like they're getting treasure troves of cash. A lot of it has to do with what's the money equated to the value of the ammunition, the value of the tanks, the value of, because some of this stuff is sitting here in mothballs here in the States. Might as well be
the old shit is run by Russia.
Yeah, that's true. And also, I think they also they do have to use some currency because they have to feed their people.
Oh, yeah. But I'm just saying that, but everybody has it mistaken when they think it's just cash. It's everything.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It is confusing, and people probably did hear that in the other way.
I think that's on purpose, especially from those who don't want the funding to go to Ukraine, because they make it seem like we're just giving them, Scrooge McDuck sized bags of cash and dropping it off with them.
Yes.
And I was trying to have a discussion with one of my viewers. All the ammunition has a shelf life, and after a certain point, you have to get rid of it, and that costs money to get rid of it. I remember back in the first Iraq War, the Iraq War, the U.S. was dropping dumb bombs out of B-52s, and one of the commentators was saying, "Yeah, they've had these bombs in here for a while. They need to get rid of them, so now they're just dumping them in Iraq." That was their way of getting rid of them, was to drop them on Iraqi positions. That's what's happening with the ammunition that we have. It's like all the stuff, the oldest stocks, like the oldest MREs that they have in there that they're supplying to the troops, that's going through. And then the U.S. is just buying new stuff to replenish those stocks. That money's going to the defense industry, which in turn pays people's salaries, pays taxes. So it's keeping our economy churning. So it's not like we're giving them money and then we never see it again. We're actually churning our economy by perpetuating this war. And I guess maybe the Republicans really want the economy to do well, so they don't want to give up the money so that we can just keep the economy thing going faster so we don't lose the war to make money off of, he said very sarcastically.
Oh, those little pea-headed Republicans. They just don't get wartime economics. It's good for the economy to be in war. We had a great economy in World War II, a fantastic economy. The only thing that was really a bummer is that when all the guys came back, all the girls had to quit the jobs that they'd been doing for the guys while they were gone, and nobody could figure out how to balance that out. So, that was kind of a bummer. But we did then have, the baby boom, the 1950s, great economy continued on up into the 60s. So, we did have a lot of great stuff, but you had to be white to enjoy it. Oh, wait. Okay. Maybe it wasn't that good. Okay, wait.
It looked good on paper.
It did look good on paper, but on paper, it looked like a great economy.
Well, they're screwing themselves, Colleen, because they sit there and they put fear in all the Republicans, all the MAGA, fear the Mexicans, fear people that are different than you, be afraid, they're rapists, they're murderers, they're fear, hide your wife, hide your children. They put this in their head, and then Ukraine, the majority of the Americans want to help Ukraine, including Republicans. And so now they've taken away that help. And so they're seeing who is going to help with those things and who isn't. It's really obvious that Trump is saying, be scared of all this stuff, but I hope it all goes to pot. So you wait for me to get in there. And I got the Knight of Pentacles. So I got that, Biden they're seeing him as reliable, committed. He may be slow, but he's steady and he's hardworking, and he is trying to do stuff about the border, and he wants to do things about Ukraine. But because they were so stingy, wanting to keep all the money for their rich donors and stuff, they missed their chance. But I get that what Biden's doing, he's going to come out ahead. And I got, people are going to see the vanity of Trump, the vanity that only I can fix the border, but I'm not going to until you elect me president. Just like when Zelensky said, well, I could fix your problem, the war, in 24 hours. He goes, well, do it. They're seeing the vanity in him, and they're seeing that the one who is going to complete the job and do something about it is Biden. And so it's leading to a discovery that they're realizing, a lot of Republicans, who is the better man, who is actually doing something about these problems, and who wants to wait a whole year. If you're in fear for your life, if you're in fear for your kids' lives, they're so dangerous. Why would you want to wait a year to protect the border when they're saying we'll do it now? It just makes them look like
4 years waiting for the new medical plan. It's going to be ready in 2 weeks. The new
we're still waiting on
that. Going to be ready in 2 weeks. I mean, it's been 7-8 years now. We're still waiting.
Yeah,
but it's coming.
Well,
in 2 weeks.
we've been on here almost an hour and 20 minutes, and I'd just like to wrap up with one kind of positive question to get into. So the Dems seem to be learning some lessons from the repubes. The
Finally.
headline was, "The quiet way Democrats hope to expand their power at the state level." And so the Democratic Governors Association is beginning a multi-million-dollar effort aimed at appointing more state judges. Locked out of power on the Supreme Court and still playing catch up against Republicans in the federal judiciary, Democrats are hoping to gain a political advantage on a less visible but still more important playing field, the state courts. Now, this is exactly what the Republicans started doing about 50 years ago. So there's blah, 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 all sorts of things that they've done that are very successful. Yes, we know. But my question is, will the Dems ever become as powerful as the R's had been in their starting with these grassroots appointments? I'm calling them grassroots, but they're really state level judiciary appointments. And will it lead to solid Democratic power in the future?
Yes.
I'm going to jump in and say yes.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, real big, like, yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because the gloves have been coming off. If you look at in the House, they used to be quiet. Now you got people like Jasmine Crockett. You have people like Moskowitz in Florida. You have Matthew Frost in Florida.
Yeah.
You have Goldman in New York. They're all like, just enough is enough, you crazy people.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're just giving my tragic girlfriend, MTG, her walking papers.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh God, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. I just
Come
wanted to
long
hear.
enough to learn the lesson. Start at the bottom, work your way up, and get your people in place. But this new crop of new Democrats that are coming along
Right.
with new blood, they're not taking any of the BS like the way the old crop of Democrats were, because they were all statesmen and they played by the rules, and we don't do this, and we don't cross this line, and we don't get impolite, and we don't do blah 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 blah.
But they're still playing by the rules, but they're just being heard now.
Yeah. And
They're being loud about it.
I don't think they're all rolling over. I think Jamie Raskin is not rolling over. I don't think that
not all of them.
Schiff is rolling over. I don't think Eric Swalwell is rolling over. I don't think, quite a few of them are not rolling over. Katie Porter,
Well,
she's not
some of
rolling
them,
over.
even those that are not young in age, but they may be young in government work.
Oh, okay.
They're the ones that's feeding the blood system of reviving the Democrats and bringing that punch back to it,
Mhm.
Because for so long the Democrats just played nice and went and hid in the corner and then complained to each other because the big bad Republicans broke the rules, Well, then frickin' do something about it.
Yeah.
If they break the rules, they get punished.
When you're dealing with a group of Republicans that are getting ready, I'm amazed it hasn't happened. I mean, they're imploding. I have never seen such a mess as the Republicans create, how they could spend so much time doing absolutely nothing. So are the Democrats going to take over and make a change and make a difference and take over the House, the Senate, and the presidency? Yes, they absolutely are, because it has to be. I mean, if it takes divine intervention, it's going to happen. And again, I say, God bless President Biden.
Yeah.
Well, look what happened to Arthur's tragic girlfriend just yesterday.
jeez.
MTG got tried to appeal the mask thing, where she was fined over half of her annual salary for not wearing a mask during a pandemic. And the Supreme Court came back and said, no.
Good.
You lost.
You need to pay that money. She lost it. She was not a happy camper about it either.
That's good. That's good. Man, I mean, how long have we been asking, when is that woman leaving? She is so annoying.
The one thing, I just have to throw this out there. The one thing that always gets me is when she said the California fires were caused by the Jews with lasers.
Lasers, yes.
If that were the case, they have her address. And
The
her house is
COVID
still
sticker was
standing.
like the Nazis' emblem that they gave to the Jews. And she said that too, and that was crazy.
No, I'm
Well,
just
hell,
saying.
Trump
What I'm
was
saying is that
California
if that were
probably
true and they have her
starts
address and her house is still standing, I think that house should
Why
get
would
lit.
Why would they even need a ground war in Gaza? Just melt the places that they want. I do see. Going back to the question real quick, I see there's the messaging happening quickly. The young members of the House are basically saying, "We'll do the hard work. We're going to do the heavy lifting, but we want our values to
Yes.
reflect that," and that's why they're willing to do the heavy lifting, because they know in the end they will get positions of power, and they're going to move away from the corporate Democrats and towards the more progressive agenda. It's a natural progression. And at some point, when we're 80 years old, 90 years old, there's going to be what the Democrats represent will look so wildly progressive to us, but it's going to be normal.
Oh, we'll be all dancing with our walkers
Democrats
saying,
at that point.
hallelujah, they finally did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll get there. They will get there.
All right. So I lied. That wasn't my last question. Okay.
You want to know about Jewish space
House
lasers, huh?
agrees.
Okay, so I might come back to this final last question, but I just have to blow my own horn for just a second. Okay, so I want to share my screen because when I did my full moon in Virgo video, let's see, I want to be on this one, and I'm gonna do this. Okay, so are you? Can you guys see the chart?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, I didn't do it right. I'm trying to learn to do that. I have to do that. And
There we go.
Oh, we got to go to infinity. There we go.
Will it show it better?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to put this over here so I can tell what I'm looking at.
Ooh, let's see what's on her desktop.
And,
Okay, show of hands. Who always reads the titles on the worksheets to see what she's been up to?
There we go. Okay, so now you can see the whole darn thing. Okay, so this is the full moon that's happening tomorrow. And let me get my other little noties here. Let's see. So in my video, I said about a week before the full moon, we're going to have some kind of event or events that are going to trigger all the stuff that I've been talking about in the video. And this event will concern our fundamental ideas for the country. So this could be one of the cases before SCOTUS. It could be something concerning DJT, President Biden, or one of the wars that's going on. So that's just kind of the way 2024 is rolling. It's all of them. All of these things happened right before the full moon. Now, once, let's see, is that really important, or should I just move on to the next thing? I think I'll move on to the next thing. So basically what I came to the conclusion of with this planetary arrangement is there are going to be many, many things happening in secret that will come out by St. Patrick's Day, actually, by March 17th. So that is the date when the sun reaches our Neptune placement, and Neptune is right up here. And you see how close that this is. The red planets are the full moon planets, and the blue planets are the United States planets. So the moon moves pretty quickly. So the moon is going to move over here, and the sun is going to move over here, and it's going to be in opposition to our Neptune, and the moon is going to be right on top of our Neptune. And when that happens, I think the secrets are going to come out. Most of them are going to come out. So look for that. So it's after Super Tuesday, which is March 5th. It's after the Ides of March, which is the 15th, and it's fully on St. Patrick's Day. That's where we're going to see a lot of this stuff come up. And there's also, you see these two little planets here. It's kind of hard to see what they are. This one is Venus, and this is Mars. These are the transiting planets. And they are right across the chart from our North Node. Now, the North Node of the United States, if anybody's North Node, it's your mission, what you feel your karma is, what you really want to accomplish in life, and what you just keep going through for all the years of your life until you die. That's what the North Node is. Now, Venus and Mars are opposing our North Node of the United States, which means that we're going to be super, super sensitive
about our reputation, our legacy, what we're trying to do in the world, and how we're seen by the world. And what I wrote in my thing is you may even hear diplomats and politicians saying something like, if we don't clean up our policies now on immigration and the fighting in Israel and Ukraine, it may be too late. The rest of the world may have given up on us and moved on to look towards other countries to serve their needs. And if we don't have more immigrants coming in, our country will fall into decline. And I think that's happening. I think that's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Now, where did my StreamYard go so I can come back to the screen? That would be nice, wouldn't it? Okay, there, I found it. All right. So I'll stop the sharing. But I had to read that to you guys because it hit me so strongly that we really are at a pivotal moment. So that sets up for the next month, actually also on the 25th, a month and a day after we have our full moon this month, we have an eclipse, the first of two eclipses. We have a lunar penumbral eclipse. Penumbral eclipses are subtle. It just means that the moon is passing through the shadow of the earth, and it just shows a little shading on the surface of the moon. So it's not like the big dramatic eclipses, like with the big ring of fire and that kind of crap. So, but it does set up stuff to happen. And it's going to be visible in the United States. And anytime a celestial event is actually visible, when we can just go out and see it with the naked eye, that means it's going to affect you. When it's all the way across the world and you don't see it, not going to affect you so much. So I feel that this eclipse is kind of going to be some echoing of the energy that we have on this full moon. And then 2 weeks later, we have the solar eclipse, which is a total solar eclipse. And that one hits Trump's chart bigly. It also hits some things in the United States charts bigly because Trump's chart itself hits the United States chart bigly. So this is going to be a big time frame, and this is going to bring a lot of things into focus. I'm going to be doing a video just about that, so I won't bore you with all the details now, but it is going to be really, really important. I just wanted to share that with all of you.
When is the eclipse at again, you said?
So the first one, the penumbral eclipse, is on March 25th, and the solar eclipse is on April 8th. And if you go online and just say, where is the path of totality for the April 8th eclipse, you can find maps that will show you whether you can see it from where you live or not. I'm actually traveling so that I can see it. I'm going to Watertown, New York, so that I can see the eclipse, because there's not going to be another total solar eclipse like this until 2044.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we have eclipses every year. 4 times a year we have eclipses. We don't always see them, and they're not always total. So I'm going to go see this one because it's big.
And what else is happening on March 25th?
The case starts, jury selection starts in the civil case in New York for Trump. Yes, bigly. And that's why it's happening for him, because that case is going to be a big case for him. It's going to be really important. So,
yeah.
The very last thing I just wanted to ask
Muy
you,
importante.
So, Mitch McConnell, when is he leaving? When is he leaving us? When is he leaving this?
When they drag his stone cold body out of the Senate.
And do you think that they would put me in YouTube jail if I created a little graphic that was a countdown for when he's leaving?
Start your Deadpool.
Yeah. What do you think?
You might have to go to Patreon and start a Patreon page to do that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
well, I don't think Mitch is in with the. There's a bunch of people that are going to be indicted, and a bunch of Republicans that are going to be indicted.
Yep.
That's really going to clear out the cesspool that exists in the House right now. So, but I don't know. Mitch McConnell, he's a senator, right? And so he's. I don't know that he's in on that, but I think that if anything comes, if he gets the slightest hint that he could be on that same list of indicted people, because whatever he has done, I know that he's tried very hard to cover his tracks. But I think that if something came up like that, then he suddenly might be like, you know what, I'm getting too old, or I've got some health issues, and I got to go now. But it just depends. He's kind of got to be forced to go.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking that just might happen.
yeah.
I see him having a major health event. It's not telling me when. He's going to have a major health event, and he's going to basically underneath it all is the Queen of Swords. He's going to be told by his doctors, "You're done.
Yeah.
You're done." I've got the Six of Cups center. It's the King of Pentacles is a signifier, so it's about his health. His retirement's about his health. We got the Ace of Pentacles. It's a major event. He needs to He might be, if he's had his little brain things. This could simplify. It could either be, it's time to go spend time with your grandchildren, or it can mentally incapacitate him that he has the reasoning power of a small child, not the edge lord that he currently is. And it's basically, this is it. It was his legacy. He's done and dusted, and he just doesn't have a choice. If he had a choice, I would say November to December, like after the elections, if and when the Republicans lose the House and the presidency, and he's gonna be like, you know what, I'm just done. I can't do anything with this. I'm out of here. But it might happen before that, because it looks like health wise he's going to be told to leave, and he's just not going to have a choice.
I get that too, that it'll be in 2025, but he'll have to step down. He won't have a choice. His health is not good. It's going to be a bad health problem that he's not going to be able to come back from.
And it might be a health problem that he uses to his benefit.
Maybe.
Because there might be something else going on in the background where he's like, uh-oh, yikes. How'd they find out
to get out of Dodge?
Well, what I heard from my guides is when you ask the question, how long is he going to be around? I just got no later than 2027.
Oh God, really?
No. That doesn't necessarily.
No, not in office.
Be around. Not
how long is he going to be on this planet?
How long is he going to be around?
Expiring CO2.
How long is he going to be breathing?
Yeah.
I get October 2025. He's going to be leaving.
Well, Shari, you do know turtles can hold their breath for a very long time.
Yes,
I know.
My late husband's name was Turtle, so yeah, that was his nickname.
But I already bought my veil and the dress, and God damn it.
We can freeze it with the children.
Exactly.
Yes, that's what I'll do. I'll sneak it in there when I go on my visitation. Okay. All right, guys. Well, this was great. Thank you all for being so nice to each other and so courteous about not speaking over one another. You make me very happy. And thank you for answering these ridiculous questions that we have to answer.
Thank you, Mommy.
It's just,
yes.
what a.
Do we get a lollipop now?
Yeah, you can. But I feel bad that we're in this kind of turtle soup of political that we have to talk about. But thank you for going through it with me. I really appreciate that. And thank you to everybody in the chat. And you guys had
some good stuff going in there. They
did. And I hate to disappoint you that I don't take your questions and stuff from the chat, but I did see those couple of things about Ukraine, and I wanted to address that. So I just want to remind everybody again that on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to be doing the meditation for Ukraine, and that's going to be a nice meditation. I think it's going to be I hope it's powerful. I hope everybody likes it, and I hope everybody will tune in.
And Colleen, I just want to say thank you for putting this group together. I've just really enjoyed working with these people today, and I thought this was very effective. And I love, of course, the chatters. They always bring up stuff that I'm thinking, well, I didn't know that. I mean, they're really knowledgeable. And although
we had up over 400 at one point in the room between all the channels, we had over 400.
Wow, great. Yeah. So, thank you guys for showing up, and thank you, Colleen, for putting this all together. And I had a great time.
Great. Thank you.
And best chatters ever, but go to everybody's channel, like and subscribe. It's free to subscribe. It doesn't cost you any money.
Yep. And
there that thumbs up button.
Yeah.
Leave a comment, leave an emoji, something in the comments after the show that helps boost the algorithm. It helps push our shows out there so that If somebody's just channel surfing on the World Wide Web and YouTube, if they put in the right keyword, boom, our channel shows up, and then that's how you get new subscribers. So,
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Shari. Thanks for being a co-host tonight and handling the
you're
chat.
welcome.
I really appreciate that. Couldn't have done it without you. So now, guys, get ready because I am going to play the big old guitar thing again. I just have to do it up here. So here we go.